Hello guys, and welcome back to today's video. It's been a while since we've been uploading, so we're trying to get a bit more on, but with everything that's been going on, a lot of busyness happening here and a lot of new projects on the go, it's just been pretty hard to keep things up to date. But today, we're actually working on one of which has been a project as such, and that is a Hyundai i30N tune. So we've been tuning the Hyundais now for quite some time. We've been out doing a lot of testing with the one that we've used as a development car, and now we've had one of the first customers through the door to actually have this tune applied. So we thought we'd take you guys through some steps, show you what's actually happening with the cars and show you the gains. So let's have a look at the car. Those of you who's probably watching this video who actually has these cars will already know what's under here. It's a 2-litre turbocharged engine. This one in particular has a massive forge intake with the forged turbo elbow. It also has some flexi pipes done, some other exhaust modifications, but as far as this car goes, that's all that's done to this. It runs 99 octane. So what we're going to do now is get it strapped down onto the dyno, make a base run, see where we're at, and then we'll start the tune process from there. This car we're going to actually tune through the OBD. Most people need to take the ECUs out, but because of the tools we've got, we'll be able to actually just do this car through the OBD. One of the many things we'll need to show you though is that we will need to stabilise the battery quite heavily on this car, but we're going to show you why later on. This car that's in there now is a 68 plate, the same as the actual development car that we've used for our Hyundai tuning. Hopefully what I'm going to see is that the car is on the same ECU version, and that'll cut down time drastically when it comes to actually making the changes we need to make. I am hoping that this car isn't going to take an excessive amount of time to tune. However, there is a couple of things with them. The fuel pumps aren't very strong, so you need to be careful with that. They tend to run decent power, but the facelifts make a lot more power. But the actual overall gain in this car is quite good. The driving experience is quite hairy. It's a bit mad, so you notice how fast you're going in one of these cars. That's one thing that some people really like about it. It feels more raw. Me, I quite enjoy some of the kind of, stupid stuff, if you will. I quite like the fact that they've got memory seats and stuff like that, which is a bit posh for a lot of the stuff that I work on. But we'll go and we'll get plugged into the ECU, see what's actually on there, and then we'll get the car strapped down, do our runs, and then we'll have some fun. Yeah, my memory's clearly not what it once was. I'm pretty sure the last car that we done was actually a 67 plate, so chances are I'm going to have a lot of calibrating to do with this one. Oh well, that's part of the fun of custom tuning. We'll just get it done, see what it makes. Might even make more than the last one, who knows? One thing I really like about this car is its consistency. There's only a couple of horsepower between the one that we used as the development car and this one. So right now we're at 286.9 brake horsepower with 418 Newton meters. Now that can be down to the fact that it's 0 degrees practically in here. I think it's like -3 outside. It's between 0 degrees and 8 degrees in here. I can't actually see. I'll need to put my glasses on. The joys. Becoming old, guys, becoming old. I was 29 the other day, so I'm getting old. Anyway, back to where we were. Yeah, it's quite a consistent car. That's one thing that I have noticed with these. They are relatively consistent. Unlike a lot of the Ford stuff that we're starting to see now, the RS Mark III was quite inconsistent. It would run anywhere between 295 brake to 315 brake horsepower standard, when it should be 340. This is running bang on its quoted figures. The Mark IV ST is another good example. It'll either run bang on its quoted figures, or there's some models that we've seen and they're way lower than it should be, as low as 250 horsepower. It's not a great advert for Ford in that respect, but it is what it is. These cars, the only thing I will say is they don't gain quite like some other cars, but we should still see a nice reasonable amount. But we better go on, see if we can go and unlock a few extra ponies. Now what we're going to have to go and do is go and read the ECU out using our tool, and then make the modifications, do a couple of runs, log it all, see if the power's where we want it to be. It's not going to gain as much as some of the other cars that we work on, we know that. The turbo is quite small, but it still will add a drastic difference, you know, as far as the overall power is concerned, and the way it delivers it is going to be much better. So because it's a virtual read, it shouldn't take long to actually read the ECU file off. It should be a matter of seconds. So all we're going to do now is click read and then go from there. No, why? So we've now hit our first real bump in the road with this car already. So usually what would happen is when you go to read the ECU, there would be a virtual file already there, and it would just pull off the server and give you it. So that means you've got the stock ECU file and you can work from that, and then you program that on. But on this occasion, it's not actually there. So what we've had to do is contact B-Flash support and see what they can do for us. Hopefully it's just a case of we update the ECU to a file that they've already got. Otherwise it might mean that we need to pull the ECU out anyway, which is far from ideal, but it means that then moving forward we've got the file and we can just do what we need to do from there. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to take the ECU out, but not only do I need to take the ECU out, I need to actually open it up and do what's called a boot read. That is, you know, a fair bit more time consuming than I'd like it to be, but once that's done we can start flashing at OBD, and it means that if we ever get one back in with this ECU version, then we'll be able to just do OBD no problem. But to get the initial read, because it's not one that's on the server, we're going to have to actually take it out and take an actual read, which hopefully won't take too long and won't be too difficult. I'll probably need to set up another table and stuff like that, but I'll be fine. So I'll show you the ECU, where it actually sits in this car and what I'm going to have to do. I've already unplugged the ECU, but this is it here. Thankfully it's not like got a security cage around it, so I should be able to just unbolt it, take it out for there, and then I need to try and open it up, which is probably the most difficult part of the actual job overall. Actually putting the prongs on and stuff like that isn't the worst, but we will get there. I've got my little bench set up again, so now I'm going to just pull this out, get it over there, try and get it open, and then go from there. So now here we see the ECU, and we have a little rig here that we're going to use to go onto the actual board itself. I'm going to need to use a heat gun to try and soften the sealant, as well as stuff to actually pry the casing off. This is not the most fun job to have to do as a tuner, but it's a necessary job for some ECUs, just like this one. So I'm now going to go ahead, concentrate on this. I'm not going to take much videos of me doing it, just because I need maximum concentration. Now that I've finally got the case off the ECU, I can go directly onto the board for the bits that I need to. And then hopefully we'll be able to pull the read off this, send it to B-Flash, and they'll be able to enable it for OBD flashing. So after a long battle, we've finally got a read of the car from the OBD, and now we've built up the OBD file. It's time to put it on the car, see how it goes, and then we'll make all our adaptations. This particular car, we're having to stabilise the battery, because when we program it, it's going to take about half an hour, but what this car does as well is it throws the fans on, so you need a constant supply of power going to the battery, otherwise it'll just flatten itself and then you've got a bricked ECU, which nobody wants. It'll be undo all the work that we've already done and back to square one again. So it's now time to get this programmed on. We've had to copy pretty much everything from the original file that we built up to try and do the 300 odd horsepower that we'd done on the last car. Now we're just going to apply it to this one. We've done all the changes over to that as much as we could. There's quite a lot needing changed because the ECU versions were quite different. So we'll see how it pans out for us, but first things first, let's click yes. So it should only be a matter of time now before the car throws the fans on, and there they are. And this should be like this for about half an hour. So we'll return back to it in about half an hour, get the car warmed up and see if we can get a run in tonight.
Even on the first test file we managed to get some decent gains, but decent isn't good enough for us. So we had to rig back up the battery stabiliser, flash on another few files, and after a bit of backwards and forwards we finally got where we needed to be, which gave us a massive gain.
Finally we've completed the tune. We've managed to make 308 brake horsepower with 476 Newton meters. That's a pretty good gain for this car. It was a really nice car to tune. It didn't have much problems with the fuel rail pressure, everything seemed absolutely hunky-dory, so we're not going to recommend a high pressure fuel pump to this customer. Just keep it how it is, keep it with the good fuel in it. If anything, stick an upgraded intercooler on it, and that's about all you'll need to do to get the most out of this car and keep it road legal, of course. As a car to tune, it's a little bit different from the rest of the stuff that I do. Naturally, it's a Hyundai. Mainly we've been doing Fords, and of course we've ventured into Mercedes as well. But those two are actually more similar than what, you know, the likes of this is in comparison to a Ford. Ultimately, very happy with how it's turned out. I look forward to getting one in for stage 2, but for now, the stage 1 figures are absolutely spot on. So hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and join us in the next one.